Welcome to On a Way with Beryl Botman, in conversation with Catherine St. Jude Pretorius, also known as Dope St. Jude. She is a multi-talented international recording artist and performing artist. And I cannot restrictively categorize her artistry. This multi-talented, multi-dimensional, international artist is my daughter-in-law. Catherine, how are you today?
I am very, very well. Thank you. I am feeling excited to be in front of the camera and to be having this conversation with you.
Welcome to the side of the couch. When I prepared for this conversation, I had to go back. I'm a very systematic kind of a person, so I'd like to go back to the beginning. And I really had to think hard. I think we came softly into one another's life. Do you remember how we met?
I think you're going to have to remind me.
Yeah, I remember. I can't even say that I remember, but the occasion was Roxanne's last birthday party in the house that we lived in Stellenbosch. And that was the last year that we were living there. So it would have been her last birthday. And she invited a whole bunch of friends. She has a wide group of friends from all walks of life and from different parts of her life and her growing up. I don't particularly remember how we met, but looking at the photos, I saw you there. So we were not. As I said, it was just like a soft introduction.
Yeah, I now that you bring it up, I do remember that we met there for the first time. Roxanne and I were friends at the time. Yeah, and I think I remember coming into the main house because Roxanne had a separate entrance and coming to look around for some snacks. And I think that was our interaction. I do remember that.
Yeah. And yes, and I think, I remember that Roxanne reminded me of an occasion that I might have met your mother, but I completely forgotten about that. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember. My mom, my late mom, and I went to a book launch. I took her to a book launch somewhere in Kenilworth, and Roxanne attended with you too. And we briefly met, and we crossed paths very, very briefly. But it's nice that even if you don't remember that you and my mom did cross paths at some point.
Yes, we did. I definitely can't remember that encounter with her, but I do know her from Facebook, and I don't think that she was my Facebook friend, but she was friends with other friends of mine, and I got to know her, and she came across as this vibrant, colorful, bright woman.
Yes, my mom was very popular on Facebook. She really loved Facebook because it connected her, I think, with the community of people she longed to be connected to. And once she discovered Facebook, it's like a whole different part of her opened up. And of course, I had been on social media for a while by then, so the roles were reversed. I was like the parent, and my mom was like the teenager. And I was like, you need to spend less time on Facebook. But I understand why. It was where she found a community.
And as I was thinking about the two of you being related and belonging to one another, her name was captivating. Octavia is not it's like a Shakespearean name. That's my association. And I think I understood or appreciated your second name, St. Jude, as being something catching and new and vibrant.
Yes, so St. Jude is the saint of hopeless or lost causes. And I think I was named that because my mom always wanted a daughter, and she has 4 sons, and I'm the only girl. And so I think that's where the St. Jude comes from.
Yeah, and so we've slowly grown into one another's lives, of course, through your friendship that became more than friendship with Roxanne. I remember we moved into our new apartment in Wynberg, and Roxanne used to visit friend Cindy around the corner and quite often. And she spoke about the other friend, and she told me I met her, but I never could connect it. And then as your friendship grew, I made the connection
Yes.
who this new friend is. And I think in particular of the time that she told me that your mother has passed away, and she felt that she wanted to support you in a special way, since she also has gone through a similar kind of experience.
Yeah, I think that was really the beginning of the shift in my and Roxanne's relationship from friendship to partners is around the time my mom passed away, because out of all my friends, Roxanne was the only person who had also experienced that kind of loss and could hold space and be there for me in a way that no one else could. So that changed the whole dynamic of our friendship, and also like communicated, I think, well, for me, that this is someone who really cares to be here in the most difficult time in my life. And so, yeah, it was just a very, it was a difficult time, but also a really beautiful time, because it was like the beginning of something very special for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and then not too long after that, Roxanne moved out.
Yeah.
And moved into the apartment in town, and you came with her. So it was a very relaxed introduction
Yeah.
into our family, into our home. And then also not too long after that, Roxanne made very definite steps in a dream that she has pursued for a while, and that is to go and study abroad. And so she stepped out and applied all over, and then decided to go to the UK. And that was a choice that I didn't expect. But she did that, and she went to the University of East London. And you also went and did some of your work from there. And that is how I got to know you.
Yes. But I don't know if you remember this part, but I was supposed to go to London for some kind of project, and I had just done a commercial, and I hadn't gotten paid for the commercial, and I needed to go. I don't know if you remember, but you loaned me and I paid you back as soon as I got money from the commercial, because I did not want to be in debt for too long. I was very eager to impress, so that's the quickest I've ever paid anyone back. But yes, so I don't know if you remember that, but you really also gave me a nudge in that direction, and also communicated to me that you also take me seriously and take my career seriously. So that was like a very important, I think, vote of confidence for me in the early days. And I don't think I ever told you that, but that was very meaningful to me, that you supported me in that way.
No, and knowing myself, I probably would have asked you to make an agreement in writing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, we met at 4:20 in Wynberg. We had an
Yes,
agreement,
yeah.
and the rest is history.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yes, and then Roxanne was living in a very awkward place, in a room,
Yes.
basically in student accommodation.
Yeah.
The first time I met, I met her surroundings and her people and her university, and I stayed with a friend of yours first that
Yes.
became Roxanne's, and that was that I met in our home in Wynberg. And so I was really very happy to be, and I love being in the company of young people.
Yes.
And I value the inputs that young people can make into my life, help me to broaden my perspective and understanding and experience
Yes.
of life.
Yeah, 100%. And also another thing that I think stands out for me, talking about your connection with Roxanne and her friends, is that was like very new to me, to see that kind of relationship between um, you and Roxanne, where you are friends also. And so it's always really wonderful to observe the way you can spend time with Roxanne's friends and you can have this kind of very beautiful relationship. It's also nice to be a part of it and to have that light shine on me.
Hello, Roxanne. In fact, all my children, I knew who their friends were. Friends are always welcome in our home, or the bigger family. But I think what is very special with her friends, or our friendship, was after her father has passed. There was a deepening of that friendship, and and I remember you talking about that you never had the opportunity to have that kind of relationship with your mother
Yes.
in a more
in adulthood.
yes. I had that with my mother, and that came after I had Ilse as a single parent. I was brought down to my knees, and I learned to value my mother in particular, but my parents. And I became my mother, and I became friends, and I'm very grateful. That's one of the things I'm very grateful for, because she also passed away suddenly.
Yeah.
And so motherhood for me is very valuable. I struggled with motherhood, especially stepmotherhood. I struggled for a very long time with that. But I value being a mother. And then I became your mother. I became your mother-in-law.
Yes. Yes. And I value that relationship so much. And I think we kind of eased our way, even in me calling you mom. It took me time because I had lost my mom to call someone else mom, but you were so patient with me and so kind and warm. And then there's a moment where after Roxanne and I got married, it just kind of felt right, because it was just, I felt safe, I felt very safe with you and Roxanne and Ilse, always holding space for me. And also, I think the dynamic of the three of you, three women, is also something that's a bit unfamiliar for me as someone who comes from, I only have boy siblings. So to experience that different kind of dynamic, it took me a while to also adjust to the way you guys do things. And yeah, now I'm in the mix. Now I'm in it. I'm just one of the girls also.
Yes, I remember when you were in Cape Town and Roxanne was, I think she was in London.
Yeah.
It was Valentine's Day and Ilse was here.
Yes. And I asked, I was missing Roxanne so much. And I asked, can I spend Valentine's Day with you and Ilse? And that's also another turning point, because it's like I needed that kind of emotional intimacy, and I felt that I could find it with you and Ilse. So that was like a turning point and a lovely experience, because I remember we had cheesecake and tea
on the balcony.
Yes,
on the balcony. Yes. Yeah. I introduced Valentine's Day into my family, and that is an influence that I brought from my school, where we had a program, but it was little things, small gifts, little hot chocolate, one, not a box, and that kind of thing. And I'm glad I did that with all my children, all four of them that I've raised over there. And I'm very happy that we continue that. I think it's although it isn't a commercial kind of a day, I think it's just another day just to focus on one's relationships of those who you
to
love.
show that you love each
just
other.
in small ways.
Yes. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So I value our relationship as in-laws tremendously, because I don't necessarily have good relations with all the in-laws that I've ever been involved in. And so I value this relationship of love, of respect, of, you know what, also that I appreciate of you, that is, that sets you apart from all the other relations that I have, and not only in terms of in-laws and daughters, and so, is the one that you challenge me with questions that is something mostly I have to really think hard about it, and sometimes also have to acknowledge that I can't answer that. And so you send me into deep places, and you send me into my past that I don't necessarily always want to go.
Yeah. Some people might say I'm bis. But yeah, I'm quite inquisitive and curious about your experience on different levels. One, just as a young woman navigating the world, I think it's valuable for me to learn from someone I admire. And I love the way you interact with the world and the way you handle situations. I really do just admire the way you stand in the world. So I want to learn from you. And then also because I lost my mom, there's so many questions about womanhood and the experience of being a woman of color in South Africa. Like I need to learn from those experiences and what it was like in the past. And then there's also, I think, maybe just a natural curiosity that I have. But I am very grateful that you allow me to ask you lots and lots of different kinds of questions. I know sometimes they come at very odd times and very strange questions sometimes, but you always give me the space to ask, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So there's two things that come to mind now. The one that is that you impress me as a lifelong learner, and is always learning new things, new technologies, attending courses, and I connect with that, being an educator and also having to regard myself as a lifelong learner. And I try also to instill that into my children. Yeah. So that's the one part. And the other part is that my mother, I also lost my mother. I was a little more mature than you were. But I also had this yearning now that I've lost her, there's now things that I do not know and things that I would have liked to ask her about. And yeah, so I can relate to you, with you on that level as well.
Yeah, in terms of being a lifelong learner, that just comes naturally to me because like I said, I'm curious and I want to know lots of different things. So I make it my business to learn. But that's something we do have in common because I admire how you are constantly reinventing yourself and giving me hope that there is always a chance for you to try something new. And you've become an author and a podcaster, tried new things, interviewing people, did an audio podcast, an interview-based podcast. It's exciting. Like it makes me excited for my future. Like I don't know what I'm going to do next. So it's nice to see that and to see how much fun you're having. And then in terms of my mom and having lost my mom and yearning for that, like I think adult connection, it is nice also to experience that through you and Roxanne. You know, I see the way you get along. And also we have now our own connection and our own vibe that we've established with each other, which is nice. So I feel very lucky. And I also feel lucky, I must say, as a queer person. First, in general, okay? You know, the people like to make fun when they talk about in-laws. There's even a movie called Monster In-Law instead of Mother-in-Law. And I don't have that experience at all. So that's, first of all, very different to have an in-law experience like that. And then also as a queer person, as a gay person, to have such a nice relationship with my mother-in-law. I know that I'm very, very lucky because I know that a lot of people in my position don't have this experience where we can just get along and chat and sometimes have a glass of wine. And I don't, like it's nice. And I wish it for more people. And I'm hoping that people can see like the possibility if you're open your heart
Yeah.
and your mind that you can have a liquor relationship and you can have fun and it doesn't have to always be so drama.
I think yes. I think our whole relationship was just woven in a more authentic, organic kind of way.
Yes.
Our relationship developed in that way, and being different of different sexual orientations is not one of the major things.
Yeah.
That,
But you also, I know you attended a course,
I did.
which Roxanne and I were very impressed when you told us. You attended a course about sexuality. We were like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I realized. Although I regard myself as an open person, I realized there's many things about sexuality, human sexuality, that I didn't know. And then there was the offer at church for a couple of us on the council to attend the course, and I was willing to do that, and I think I needed that. And I remember we were the first intake of this new program, and I was very delighted because it was a big education, but it wasn't only education about broadening my knowledge and understanding of sexuality, but it delved into my own sexuality as well, and things that I spoke about that I've never ever spoken to anybody in my whole entire life that came up.
Yeah.
So that was one of a major step that I took. And it wasn't, I realized it wasn't actually towards you. It was actually more towards myself.
Yes. And I remember after the course, you kind of subtly dropping in this kind of new language about things. We were very impressed. We were like, what? What did you say?
I remember I was not aware of this pronoun thing.
That is what happened.
And here we were, and we had to introduce ourselves. And I realized, I never thought of a pronoun. We can choose a pronoun. Yes, I'm going to choose. And I chose we.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As a pronoun. And I thought it would be nice if everybody can speak. If they speak about me, I'm included with them. It's us. It's not just an individual kind of thing. And nobody, it made me feel uncomfortable. After the workshop, I realized that is not one of the options.
Doing your own thing.
And then I thought about that, and when we had a follow-up reflection on that, I remember standing in a circle, and we had to say what were the things that really made an impact on us. And then that was one of the things that I said, I made that blunder. I chose a pronoun that wasn't really supposed to be, but I still choose that we, because I think we are far too individualistic. And if I think of myself as we, I can't only be thinking about myself. I must be thinking about the people that I have to relate to.
You see, and I relate to that because you march to the beat of your own drum. I don't care that it's not an option. I still stand by what I'm saying.
There's two things that you mentioned earlier. The one is about family and how we are open to relationships that we're not ignorant about, but we've never come very close to it in this instance. But and I think, and apart from me having to be open and having to go and learn, I also want to just mention that I am so proud of my family in the way they relate to the two of you and the bond between the two of you, and how they accept you as human beings and two people who love one another. All of my family, including my old aged father, was in his 90s or close to his 90s. Not a word of objection came from his side, and so I just wanted to mention that how wonderful it is for me to be in a family
Yes.
that I can relate to in this
Yeah.
instance.
And I
Yeah.
think that there was at the wedding, we definitely saw that at our South African celebration. And I also have that support from my dad, who's a church man, but like he loves Roxanne. And yeah, to have that support is it's so valuable, and it's really grounding. And I think it allows us to also be the best versions of ourselves, because that's a whole weight taken off our shoulders and allows us to thrive and just focus on being the best version of ourselves.
And the other thing that you mentioned is when you spoke about how I reinvent myself, and I think I had to do much reinvention after I lost my husband Russell, and your father-in-law that you have not really met in a real way, and I so I had to reinvent myself. In the beginning, I had to be pushed from, and my daughters did much of that pushing, and I have very good friends that did help me with that. But what I had to learn so much, it was my learning. I never had to be pushed into writing. Writing, I wanted to do. I knew I was going to do it. I just didn't know what I was going to write, what my material was going to be, but that I knew. But doing a podcast, and first the audio podcast and then the video podcast, that was pushing me like over the edge. And so my learning curves were straight up. But thank you for seeing that I can still learn and that I am still open to learn. And thank you for being the marvelous support that you are as my producer, the producer of my podcast. Yeah. And the wonderful working relationship that we have, that is in a way separate from our personal relationship. You can tell me, no, do that over. You didn't do it right now. And that is fine.
I really enjoy producing your podcast. I think in a lot of ways, I know you said that the relationships are separate, but I think it's also brought us closer, because in the audio podcast, you needed someone to tell the stories to. So I sat there and you looked at me and you told all the stories to me. And that gave me such a much deeper understanding of you as a person. It gave me also a deeper understanding of Roxanne. It also made me so appreciative of my relationship with Roxanne, and to just understand like the trajectory and the fullness of life, because you talk about so many different topics. So yeah, on the one hand, it's been such a like rich emotional experience for me, because I don't think a lot of people get to know their mother-in-law in that way, and also in a way that's a little bit formalized, because every week you had to come to me with a new deep story and I had to listen and make sure I recorded properly. But then also on the logistics side, I think we work very well, because both of us are very systematic people. We like things to be in order, and so I think we have a very comfortable way of working. It's never been difficult. It's always been so easy.
Yeah. And I think we are also similar in the sense that although we are systematic, kind of right brain kind of people, like to know the processes, we're also creative. Yes. We also know that we must balance that with our creativity, you with your music and all the other things that you do that is creative, this creative podcast that you are doing, and me with my writing, with now podcasting too.
Yeah. I always think that like creativity, it needs the support of structure. Otherwise, you're just kind of having fun. And if you want to take your creativity somewhere, you must have structures in place. So that's why I always send you things on time. When I say I'm going to send it, I send it. But I will admit that I do work a little bit harder on that with you, because I, of course, always want to impress you. So yeah.
Yeah, and I always do my homework when you say, go and watch this podcast, listen to this, and do it this way, then I do it.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it goes
yes.
both ways. We
Yes,
both,
yeah.
on top of it, we both want to impress each other.
Thank you for joining me today on the couch, Catherine, for this a lovely conversation.
Thank you so much. This was so wonderful. I had a good time, and it's nice to also, I feel like we got to know each other a little bit more in this conversation. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for joining On a Way with Beryl Botman in conversation with Catherine St. Jude Pretorius, also known as Dope St. Jude. Walk tall, tell it all. You've been listening to On a Way with Beryl Botman. You can purchase my books online on Amazon, Take-A-Lot, and at bookstores like Exclusive Books, Bargain Books, independent bookstores, and Barnes & Noble internationally. To connect with me, please follow me on Facebook to learn more about my book launches and talks. You can write to me at beryl.botman60@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.